40 million peoples. That's how many historians believe the Mongols killed. Not over 1,000 years, in a single century. Enough to erase entire nations from the map, to turn thriving cities into silent ruins that never recovered. By some estimates, they wiped out 1 in every 10 people alive on Earth at the time. And yet, this same empire connected the world like nothing before it. It reopened the Silk Road. It carried ideas, inventions, and entire religions across continents. So which were they? The greatest monsters in human history, or the men who accidentally built the modern world? By the end of this videos, you'll be able to decide for yourself. It begins around 1162. On the cold, open grasslands of Mongolia, a boy is born into a minor tribe, and they name him Temüjin. His childhood is not the story of a conqueror. It's a story of survival. When he is just 9 years old, his father is poisoned by a rival clan. His family is cast out, left to starve on the open steppe. They live on roots and fish and whatever the land will give them. And in that brutal world, Temüjin learns the lessons that will one day terrify half the planets. Loyalty is everything. Betrayal must be answered, and mercy is a luxury the weak cannot afford. Slowly, he begins to gather followers, not through blood, but through loyalty. He rewards talent over birth. A common shepherd could become a general if he earned it, and one by one, he conquers the scattered tribes of the steppe. By 1206, it is done. The tribes that had slaughtered each other for centuries now kneel to a single man, and they give him a new name, Genghis Khan, the universal ruler. What he builds next is the most fearsome war machine the world has ever seen. The Mongols are riders before they can walk. Every soldier travels with several horses, switching between them to cover 100 miles in a day, for days on end. They carry a curved composite bow that can kill from over 200 yards away, fired at a full gallop. And they need no supply lines. They live off their animals, their milk, their meat, even their blood. An army that carries its own food and simply never stops moving. But their deadliest weapon is not the bow. It's fear. When a city dared to resist, the Mongols made an example of it. One so horrifying that the next city would throw open its gates without a fight. The terror was not cruelty for its own sake. It was strategy. First, they turn on northern China's and the mighty Jin dynasty. At first, the Mongols have no idea how to break a walled city. So they learn. They capture enemy engineers. They adopt catapults, siege towers, and gunpowder. And they turn their enemies' own inventions against them. Then, in 1219, comes the moment that unleashes the true horror. Far to the west lies the Khwarazmian Empire, a rich and powerful realm stretching across Persia and Central Asia. Genghis does not want war with them. He sends a peaceful caravan, hundreds of merchants simply to trade, but a Khwarazmian governor massacres them all and calls them spies. Genghis sends envoys demanding justice. The Shah has them killed as well. It is one of the deadliest mistakes anyone has ever made. What follows is not a war. It is an extermination. The great cities of the age, Bukhara, Samarkand, Nishapur, Merv, are besieged one after another and wiped from existence. The slaughter reaches a scale that is almost impossible to imagine. Some chroniclers claimed more than 1 million dead in a single city. The true numbers are still argued over, but the devastation was absolute. Entire regions would not recover for centuries. In just 2 years, the Khwarazmian Empire simply ceases to exist. Genghis Khan dies in 1227. But here is what makes the Mongols so terrifying. His death does not stop them. It multiplies them. The empire is divided among his sons and grandsons, and every one of them wants to prove himself by conquering more. They pour westward. In 1240, they burn the great city of Kyiv to the ground. The Russian principalities fall, one after another. By 1241, Mongol armies are deep inside Europe's, shattering the armies of Poland and Hungary. And in that moment, almost nothing stands between them and the Atlantic coast. And then, Europe is saved by something no army could have done. A death far away in Mongolia, the great Khan Ogedei dies. And by Mongol law, the princes must ride all the way home to choose his successor. So they turn their horses around, and Europe never even learns how close it came. But the killing was not finished. In 1258, Genghis's grandson Hulagu marches on Baghdad, the beating heart of the Islamic world. At the time, the richest city on earth, for 500 years, it had been the center of learning, science, medicine, and culture. The Mongols destroy it in 2 weeks. They burn the House of Wisdom. Its priceless libraries hurled into the river. It was said the Tigris ran black with the ink of 1,000,000 books, and red with the blood of the people. The last caliph is rolled inside a carpet and trampled to death beneath Mongol horses. An entire golden age of knowledge ends there, in the mud. Finally, in 1260, the Mongols meet their match in the Holy Land. The Egyptian Mamluks defeat them at the Battle of Ain Jalut. For the very first time, the Mongols are stopped, and they stay stopped. The great tide has finally reached its edge. At its height, their empire stretched from the coast of China to the edge of Europe, the largest connected land empire the world has ever seen, or very likely ever will. And this is where the story turns, because once the conquering stopped, something strange began to happen. Under a single Mongol rule, for the first time in history, a merchant could travel from Europe all the way to China's in relative safety. They called it the Pax Mongolical, the Mongol Peace. The Silk Road roared back to life. Goods, gold, and ideas flowed freely across the whole of Asia. Gunpowder, paper, and printing traveled west and reshaped Europe forever. The Mongols did not care which god you prayed to. They promoted men by skill, not by birth. They ran one of the most religiously tolerant empires of the entire medieval world. The same men who had slaughtered millions had also stitched the continents together. But even that connection carried a terrible price. The very trade routes they had made safe became the perfect highway for a plague. In the 1300s, a sickness crept west out of Asia along those roads and became the Black Death, killing tens of millions more across Europe and the Middle East. Everything the Mongols touched, life and death alike, moved faster because of them. In the end, the empire grew too vast to hold. It fractured into rival kingdoms and slowly faded into the nations we know today. But the market left behind never fully healed. So, what were they, really? Were the Mongols the greatest monsters in all of human history, or the empire that dragged the world, kicking and screaming, into a new age? Maybe they were both. Tell me what you think down in the comments, monsters or bridge builders. I read every single one. And if you want more stories where the real history is darker and stranger than the version you were taught in schools, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.